Okay, welcome back. This video we're going to be talking about counting atoms. So the main goal here is I'm going to give you a chemical formula, like this one, and you have to tell me how many atoms of each element are present. So the first thing you have to be able to do there is determine how many elements there are. So if you look in this formula, we can tell that there are 3 elements in this formula. The way you determine that, if you're not super familiar with your element symbols, which you all should be at this point, but if you're still struggling with some of your element symbols, count the uppercase letters, the capitalized letters. Though that there is a capitalized letter at the beginning of every element symbol. This is why the second letter must be lowercase in element symbols. So we have the C in CA, that's 1, an uppercase P, and an uppercase O. So there are 3 elements in this compound. So then the first thing we would do when counting for this is make a list: Ca, P, and O. Now, then we have to start using these numbers to figure stuff out. And the numbers are the first thing that I want to talk about. Okay, the first number that you have to be familiar with are subscripts. Okay, the subscripts are used to tell us how many of a particular element there are. So in this formula, the 3 after Ca says there are 3 calciums in each molecule. Okay, the 4 here tells us that there are 4 oxygens. There is no subscript after this P. Okay, that is because we do not put subscripts that are 1. Okay, instead we just note the letter. If the symbol is not there, it has to be 0. If the element symbol is there, there has to be at least 1. So since there is no subscript, it means there is 1 phosphorus. But you might also have noticed these parentheses. Parentheses are used when a subscript has to apply to multiple element symbols. This is usually the result of a polyatomic ion, as is the case here. Okay, PO4 is the polyatomic ion phosphate, one of the ones that you're going to have to be able to recognize because we are going to use it a ton in the next unit. You have to be able to pick out phosphate. Okay, so phosphate, in this compound, there have to be 2 phosphate ions. So it's saying that there are 2 of these present. So a polyatomic ion is kind of like a mini compound, but it becomes part of a larger compound. Kind of like an amino acid in a protein, if that makes sense to you biology people. Okay, now what that means is we have to multiply this subscript times the subscript inside the parentheses to get the answer for this. So, and I'm ignoring this for now because we have not talked about this one yet. But this one's not that hard to add. So according to this, we have 3 calciums, 1 phosphorus times 2 because of the parentheses. So 1 times 2 is 2. And 4 oxygens also times 2 because of the parentheses. So 8 oxygens. Okay. Then come the coefficient. You always look at the coefficient last. Okay, the coefficient is going to be a larger number that is written out in front. And the coefficient tells you how many molecules of that compound you have. So the subscript tells us there are 3 calciums in this. Okay, this 4 tells us there's 4 oxygens in this piece. And this says there's 2 of these pieces. The 5 tells us that there are 5 of this entire thing. So this is calcium phosphate. The 5 says we have 5 calcium phosphate molecules present. So we have to take everything times 5 to get our total number. And I'm going to try and make sure that this fits. So then we just need to take each of these numbers times 5 to get our total counts. So 3 times 5 is 15. 2 times 5 would be 10. And 8 times 5 would be 40. And yeah, those made it on the screen. Okay. And that's your introduction. Now, with these notes came a worksheet, a practice worksheet. Worksheet 2. And I'm going to pull that up real quick, and I'll explain a little bit of what I want you to do there. Okay, so this is worksheet 2, which those of you who were in class on Thursday have already done this. It's pretty straightforward. I just want you to do here what I did with calcium phosphate. So here we have NaOH. We have 3 uppercase letters, so Na, O, and H. And so you literally just go in, click here, and you can hit enter, because this is a long response. Type out Na, colon, or dash, or whatever you choose to use. Enter O, enter H. And then type the number for how many there are. So there's, in this case, there's 1 of everything, so Na1, O1, H1. And that's it. Just go through all of them. There is a tricky one down near the end. Actually, it's the end. It's the last one. So for this one, I'm going to go ahead and tell you guys, since I can't just kind of spring this on you at the end of the hour like I did everybody else. Hydrogen is present in this compound twice. So we have to add them together. You do not list hydrogen twice. You just list it once. So this would be N2H10O2. And that's pretty much it for counting. There is a quiz on counting, I believe, on Wednesday. But check the newsletter and double check when that is. But I think it's Wednesday, because I think tomorrow is or Tuesday, rather, is your first polyatomics quiz. So get this done. Use it as practice. If you're not sure, you can send me an email, and I can kind of try and walk you through them. But this is pretty straightforward. I think everybody in Thursday kind of agreed this was fairly simple, and they actually really enjoyed this because it was easy. So that's it for this video. Hope it helps.